Talk about. Hi, friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Ashley Ariana, joined by Steph Sanchez in the building. Hi, Steph. How are you doing today? Happy
Oh man,
Monday.
I'm happy Monday.
49ers winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one reason to feel good, right? And it's starting to definitely feel real because the 49ers landed in Las Vegas yesterday. They're doing opening night, speaking with the media shortly in an hour or so, I believe. So, yeah, I'm pumped. I'm ready to go.
Okay, I was going to ask you a little bit about that. So I heard today's like a big deal for the media. It's Roger Goodell's going to be there. Apparently, celebrities are there. Going to be a whole thing. It's kind of funny, right? Like I think people. This is a side note before I maybe ask you to explain that a little more for everyone watching. But I do think, as like a more casual viewer, you would assume like the Super Bowl is the biggest game. Like when you think about the Olympics, you think of like the peak preparation, right? But the Super Bowl week is kind of weird because it's also the NFL is an entertainment product. So what I heard, I think I was reading Matt Barrow's article. It might have been, I forget, but I was reading, might have been David Lombardi's, and both the Chiefs and 49ers actually installed their game plan last week and kind of prepare a week ahead. Not saying that they're obviously, because we're going to get into it, they're going to practice and having issues with that. But this week is actually kind of like you would call it like a deload week versus like your peak preparation. You've kind of have to trust that everything you've done that's gotten you this far will continue to take you. Um, I'm sure coaches do, last minute improvises and add stuff throughout the week. But for the most part, what I heard, which I found shocking, was the game plan is mostly done by now because there's so much media and kind of other aspects that aren't football and practice related this week going into the big game. Did you know that? I found that kind of shocking when I read that article.
Yeah, I mean it's not exactly like I guess super surprising. If my team's not in the Super Bowl, I don't really dive into it. But hearing that the 49ers, did that, and then hearing the Chiefs did that, it's really not a surprise. Because yeah, I mean, this week, in the lead up to the Super Bowl, there's so many distractions. I mean, you have all these other media obligations you have to attend, and so these practices are probably not even like your real high intensity practices. It's more so just I don't know. I would imagine lighter practices. Probably better to have the install happen the week prior as well, and act as if the 49ers were playing a game yesterday, Sunday, right? Because then that's kind of like a normal week for them to kind of prepare and have that routine. So now the routine is completely different. But at least they already have the game plan installed and they kind of know what they're going to do. So, yeah, I mean, I would imagine most teams probably do it this way. And, this is not the 49ers' first time here, so they have some experience from 2019.
Not either of these teams' first time here. Now, for some reason, it does give me a little bit of a, and not that, because Andy Reid off a bye is something like pretty much
30 and
unstoppable.
7. 30 and 7.
Oh, so you have the exact stat. 30 and 7 is crazy. So for some reason I thought, oh well, maybe it's good that they all prepared a week early, but I bet he normally does that. I bet that's not like a abnormal. He didn't just randomly decide to do that this week and not all of his other weeks. So but speaking of practices, there is I to be dramatic called my stream the Super Bowl sabotage that's already going on. Monday, week basically one of, preparing for the Super Bowl. And there's already some drama going on. People started talking about this yesterday, but I read a lot about it today. The 49ers are practicing at not Allegiant Stadium, but University of Texas. Nope, not Texas.
Las
Sorry.
Vegas.
Las
UNLV.
Vegas.
Yeah.
There we go. I just couldn't say that for some reason. UNLV. But they're practicing at their fields, which are outside. And in Las Vegas, much like the Bay Area right now, it is pouring down rain. and the fields are wet, and the 49ers have been practicing on wet fields so far. And now on the fields, apparently the grass is softer than anticipated. The Chiefs are practicing obviously in the Raiders Stadium because it's supposed to be a home game for the Chiefs. But I think that that's probably a big disadvantage for the 49ers. And apparently Kyle Shanahan is furious about it. I think it was Tim Kawakami came out and said either Kyle Shanahan is losing his mind or people that Kyle Shanahan is telling to go lose their mind are losing their mind.
I can't hear you. I don't know if you got muted.
Can you hear me
There
now?
you go. Yeah.
Cool. Sorry. I got a new mic. I didn't even get it. My friends, Lacey and Eli, who I've been staying with, got me this new mic, which is really
Nice.
sweet of them. But I've been, before the stream, for anyone who wants to know behind the scenes, I asked Steph like 200 times if she could hear me. And every time she was like, yes, but I was really worried that I wasn't going to be figuring it out. But yeah, what was your initial takeaway learning about the field disadvantage? Obviously, I think this was something they must have had to know about previously, like just that they weren't going to be practicing on the same field, but they didn't feel the grass until showing up. And I do think the 49ers are a bit of, and not that you shouldn't be. I mean, they're state of the art like franchise. It's the biggest event of the year in all sports, arguably making billions of dollars. But the 49ers are definitely very picky about their grass. Jed York, one thing that he's always done is taken really good care of Levi's and the 49ers in the grass fields. I know Roger Goodell came out and said that the field that they're practicing on is fine. The NFL also thinks like the Jets field, what is it, MetLife Stadium is fine.
Yeah.
I remember that week one game a couple years ago on the Bears field. That field was ridiculous. So I don't necessarily consider the NFL like up to standards with what they should be. But yeah, the 49ers been making a really big deal about it today, not saying unjustly, but what was your takeaway learning about this? Do you think it is a disadvantage? Do you think there's something they can do to change it? I don't know if you can like roll out a field. I don't really know how that works.
I mean, for one, originally hearing about it, I had so many questions, and some that I've since kind of learned along the way. Like I was like, who decides where each team like practices, and so I learned that. Yeah, you mentioned the home team of the Super Bowl gets to practice in the hosting team's facilities, so that is why the Chiefs are at the Raiders facility. The 49ers are at UNLV. Last year, the Chiefs weren't the home team for that Super Bowl. They practiced at Arizona State. So they were in similar situation there where they're practicing away from, like this happens, right? What isn't common and what is egregious is the NFL completely botching that field situation. I mean, even if they deem it playable, like you said, they would deem MetLife playable, right? And I mean, the fact that UNLV had an artificial turf field and they went and put natural grass on top a week ago. Usually,
yeah, like not prepared. Like you would have thought.
Usually that happens like months ago. Like they start preparing
because they prepare the grass and stuff, right? Like because there is teams that roll out fields, but if they're doing it every single week and they're preparing the grass like all off season, I think it's it's not Arizona. What team does that? I've heard there's a bunch of teams that do that where they roll out the grass field every week.
There's a few teams that do that. I do think Arizona is actually one of them because I remember them like really talking about that in the lead up to the Super Bowl, how like they have the fields underneath and they like rotate them and whatever. It's like a big elevator or something. So yeah, I mean it that is a common thing. That's something that the Raiders and the NFL are going to be using for the actual game at Allegiant Stadium. But at UNLV, obviously they only have the one field to work with, was a turf field. They put the grass on top of it. Of course, the grass on top of a turf field is going to be soft because for one, like it has nothing to set into.
Steph's like, I didn't go to school for this, and I like this is basic.
I mean, I do got to say, like I'm not a expert on fields, right? So like I don't know. I'm not I'm not qualified to speak on what's what's right and what isn't, but it just doesn't seem right, right? I mean, you're talking about multi-billion dollar business in the NFL and you're having some issues with your field. Now, partially too, you kind of said it, the 49ers have grown to be particular about their playing surfaces, and they have been known to make a stink about fields that aren't up to their standards. They have worked very hard to make Santa Clara and their practice fields and Levi Stadium fields be perfect to their standards, right? And so, as Roger Goodell said, it's playable, it's just softer than what they're used to.
Roger Goodell was like 49ers are some freaking spoiled little kids.
So like
And
and that's what I don't like, right? Because like now this has become a whole thing, and it almost this entire day has been talk about this, and everyone who isn't a 49ers fan is looking at it and they're like, well, the 49ers, here comes the whining, they're just a bunch of whiners, they're soft. All these things, they're making up excuses already. That's the part I hate about all of this. Like, it's taken away from the team being in the Super Bowl, getting ready for the Super Bowl. I don't want it to be a distraction for the players. I don't want it to be an excuse for the fans. I don't know what they can do at this point. I know some of their options. One was, trying to negotiate with the Chiefs to see if they'd let you use the Raiders practice facility as well. They're not budging on that. That's fine. I wouldn't really expect them to anyway. And two, maybe they can bring in a new sod to lay over. I don't know how much good that would do. And then their only other option besides those two things is just kind of suck it up and hope, nobody gets hurt in the process, right?
yeah. Well, when kind of talking about maybe other fans of other teams or even Roger Goodell making it seem like the 49ers are spoiled for asking for this, I felt like, and we kind of touched on this, but Israel made a good point where he said the NFL is the richest sport in the league, or the NFL is an extremely rich sport, and it's unexcusable for them to be installing it so late. I've thought for a long time that it makes no sense. I know Nick Bosa, I think also Kittle. There's players on different teams. I think Micah Parsons all over the league. They every once in a while they do the like stop the turf thing. They're all like in an organization trying to what is it, like make every field similar in the NFL. But I remember I heard Nick Bosa talking about this. I think it was after they suffered those like cluster injuries at MetLife Field in 2020. And he was talking about how, because it was the week later that some soccer players from Europe were coming, and they rolled out like a real field on top of the turf.
And they're doing that again for the World Cup, by the way.
Yeah, like how are they able? how are they doing this for other teams, but not making football, which is like not only just in America, but they're trying to expand their audience to be worldwide. Billion, multi-billion dollar, the hugest sport in America. How are they not prioritizing their players in the same way? And it is funny because I think 40 whiners or whatever, like they're called that because like Jets players have to play on MetLife Field or whatever. But that shouldn't be the standard. Like, I think it is smart. And I think you do need people that are kind of willing to make a ruckus about this in order for the billionaires to actually want to change, because they just don't want to, like, the players, to us, to like normal people, we're like, oh, they're millionaires, suck it up, play on the field. A billionaire, like, they can afford the field. Like they deserve to kind of get blowback, especially like, I think like you were saying, like it does suck to take away from the narrative of just how awesome it is for them to get there. I know everyone kind of talks about like, is it, make or Super Bowl bust, make or break type thing, but just getting to the Super Bowl is such an accomplishment. This team has had so much success under Kyle Shanahan, and it's so cool to be back here only, 4 years later. Incredible feat. So it does suck that is kind of the prevailing conversation this Monday. and I bet the media that's going on right now, I bet the Kyle Shanahan, all the players are getting asked how it feels. I bet that's a huge topic that's going on right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, instead of blaming the 49ers for not sucking it up, I agree with, I think it was Israel's comment that kind of said we should be blaming the owners for not taking charge of this more. But with what you were saying with kind of like dealing with it, I don't know about if they can roll real grass. I feel like stuff like that takes a long time. I remember, I think, was it last year's Super Bowl, they talked about like months in advance preparing the field and everything. So I just don't think that would be any less. And I'm wondering, like, aside from comfort, are they more just worried about injury? Is that why the 49ers are making such a big deal about it? Someone says the NFL doesn't care about players, so they only want money. Unfortunately, I kind of have to agree. I did see someone say that, like, I hope the fix isn't in and it's not, them trying to unite.
That's what I'm talking about.
This happened before. Like, they made this mistake before the Chiefs were supposed to be in the Super Bowl.
Conspiracy, like, against the 49ers or in favor of the Chiefs. Like, the home team, being the AFC, is determined like every single season. We already know next year it's going to be the NFC. If the 49ers are in the Super Bowl next year, for example, they're going to be playing their practices in the facility of the team that hosts them, right? In that city. So it changes every year. They don't know what team was going to be in the Super Bowl, what two teams were going to be in the Super Bowl. They didn't know it was going to rain. Everyone's talking about how dare the NFL put, the Chiefs indoors and the 49ers outdoors in the rain. It, like, how are they supposed to know?
They didn't know it was going to rain. It was like supposed to be whoever the AFC team was going to be, it was going to be a home game for them. Like, this was decided before.
So it's not some conspiracy. That's what we're not going to do. We're not going to make some excuse out of this as 49er fans. Like,
oh, I like that. That's a good point. Go on that, because you're right. Like, you don't want people to be like, see, they lost because they practiced on the wrong field.
People are already doing that. They're already, like, making up their excuses. They're already throwing pity parties for the 49ers. No, if the 49ers are as good as, we think they are, if we think that they can overcome the distractions of Super Bowl week, maybe this is just another part of that, right? They're going to go in that game. The field they practiced on in the week hopefully doesn't matter at that point, and they go out there and win this game. Like, the field shouldn't matter. I don't know. The only thing that as most people probably would be concerned with, are the injuries, right? You just go through these practices hoping to not get any injuries. But if you could do that, there aren't any excuses about this field.
I completely agree. I would hate to. There has been, like, a theme, I feel like, with every loss, that the 49ers have had, not winning the big game, where they have this kind of reason why we're still the best team, but because of XYZ circumstance, we couldn't prove it. And it would suck if the narrative, not only among players or coaches, who knows if they would have, but just even around fans, if it would be like, oh, well, obviously it was going to work out like this. You have to think of it the opposite way. If the 49ers were, because I don't know, jokingly or just clickbaity, I titled this show like Super Bowl sabotage. But if the 49ers were playing in Allegiant Stadium and they had to change their practice schedule that they were used to in order to benefit the Chiefs, I bet that they would be like, screw you, like, I'm going to take this advantage too. Like, that's not, I think last week, you and I, or at least I know I did, talked about, like, better to be lucky than good. Not meaning, like, not good to be good. Obviously, you have to be good when you're in the NFL and this far. But when I think I was talking about some of Purdy's drop picks in that Lions game and his ability to come back. And obviously, I think he did so many things well. But you have to factor in any team that gets to the Super Bowl, both teams, Chiefs and 49ers, there's going to be luck. And so this is just something that is lucky for the Chiefs. Do you consider it maybe bad sportsmanship or wrong of the Chiefs to not alternate their schedule to let the 49ers practice within Allegiant Stadium? And I want to caveat this by, I was in Las Vegas over the summer for preseason, and their Allegiant Stadium is huge. They have like multiple indoor fields. So my only thing that I don't understand, and maybe I just can't, I've never been to a 49ers practice, so maybe I can't conceptualize how big practices are. But in my mind, both teams should be able to practice because there's multiple fields. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Do you think?
Well,
So that was kind of two questions. One, do you think it's like sabotage, bad sportsmanship on the Chiefs side, or do you think the 49ers would do the same thing? And two, if you have any idea, maybe you've read something, do you know why they wouldn't practice at the same time? Just on, oh, maybe because they would see each other?
Yeah. Yeah,
Duh.
you can't have two teams.
Everyone in the comment is like, this is what the Patriots got in trouble for, Ashley, and you're just like, why don't they just give each other the game plans before?
Yeah, they can't practice on the same.
That makes sense. I love that I like
place at the same
went
time.
off on that for 2 minutes and everyone watching was like, no.
That's part of the reason why the 49ers would need to kind of negotiate with the Chiefs and the NFL as to being able to practice at the Raiders facility, right? Because then the Chiefs would have to change their practice schedule to accommodate the 49ers to be able to practice there. So that's why the Chiefs also are like, nah, because I mean, they have their set schedule. They want to stick with that routine throughout the week. I mean, it's not the Chiefs' problem. Like in their
much like how we think the NFL should have like prepared for this, it's important for fans to know like the team has set their schedule and like planned media availability, planned practice times, planned when the players are going to have off. Players get into a routine of when they're going to do their rehab. All that stuff has been planned for months when it comes to this. So it's not like the Chiefs are just like, oh, we don't want to, push everything back an hour. It's like their whole schedule is already made up around this.
Yeah, and there's other factors, I'm sure, like, someone mentioned it earlier too, like the Chiefs players probably leaving all their stuff in the
like, does everyone see that? Look at it is glistening stuff. Damn.
It's my light here. That's super
that
bright. But yeah, I mean, someone mentioned it, like the Chiefs maybe want to leave all their clothes and all their equipment at the Raiders facility, right? Like if the 49ers come in, they'd have to move all their stuff, bring it back the next, just like it creates an inconvenience for the Chiefs.
Couldn't they have the 49ers use like the away team's locker room?
I guess. Well, yeah, I don't know where. So it's the practice field, not the actual like Allegiant Stadium. So I don't know if they have two different like lockers.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's where I'm wrong, because I felt like in the summer they had like 3 different fields, because I remember you as a fan you could go and it was so annoying because I was like, oh, you're gonna see, and they practiced like 3 fields away so you couldn't see. But now in my brain I'm like, well, why wouldn't they practice on one of those 3 fields? Like I remember there being way too many fields there. Really quickly though, I wanted to bring up Tyler's comment. He said, Steph, did you hear the newest excuse from the media in reference to Purdy? They don't the 49ers.
They don't want the 49ers to win?
They don't want the 49ers to win because of Black History Month? I don't want to.
No, I haven't heard that. I mean, that's crazy as well. I mean, look, the conspiracies on
theory.
Like, dude, everyone, the 49ers are not underdogs either. I know that's been a thing. Like,
did you see their hype video? Everyone was clowning on them. They were like, what was it? It was like against all odds.
Against all odds. But they were talking about just the NFC Championship game where they were down, like 17 points. They're not saying they're like underdogs. I know you're not saying that, but like
last year, Travis Kelce, when they won the Super Bowl, went out and was like holding the trophy and was like, no one believed in us. They were they were favored to win the Super Bowl going into that year.
But I guess like you've got to create, your own underdog story wherever you can, right? So I don't know. It kind of seems like 49er fans want to create a bit of a underdog story. for this team, which, whatever you prefer, I guess. But the 49ers are not underdogs by definition.
Sorry, I was reading a comment where someone said that they had, I just found this interesting. I have a super confidence in the 49ers attack because the present team is reminding them of some amazing teams. How about that? I think to turn away from the field conversation, and I like that you kind of did discuss injuries aside, because I understand that being a concern, and I understand why Kyle Shanahan and the team would be mad about it. But it does kind of suck that this is taking away just from the fact that the 49ers are in the Super Bowl. I thought that it could be nice just to do a touch base assessment. How are you feeling now? You've had some days to process the last game, maybe look at the Chiefs. How are you feeling about the 49ers' ability to compete in this game, win this game? Have you even let yourself kind of think that far ahead? How are you feeling going into this week?
Yeah, I mean, this week I'm definitely starting to dive into the matchup a little bit more. Look, there's a reason the 49ers got to this point, right? And it's because this entire season they've been one of the best teams, not the best team in the NFC, right? Or even in all of football. So yeah, I mean, there's a reason they're here. So of course I have confidence in the 49ers, like they're gonna get this done. Even just comparing these two teams from 2019, like the 49ers defense was crazy back then. Like they were, Nick Bosa said it. That was the Super Bowl defense in 2019. But their offense, like, yeah, they had Kyle Shanahan and, they rode Raheem Mostert, through the NFC Championship and all that. But like there were some holes you can kind of poke on the offense side that I don't know if you can really poke those same holes in this team now. They're so much more balanced. And I mean, the Chiefs are also a little more balanced than they were then. Like their defense has taken a step forward and maybe their offense has regressed a little bit, or they just don't have the amount of superstars that they did. They're missing Tyreek Hill and all of that. But I think these two teams do match up pretty well, and for this to be a great matchup, and I have the utmost confidence in Brock Purdy being the difference in this matchup. I believe in a guy like Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams being the difference in this matchup, right? So I'm looking forward to it. I think the 49ers have guys that are made of the right stuff. You think about Kelsey and Mahomes, and you're like, man, like you can't stop those guys, like especially in the playoffs. And I feel like Christian McCaffrey is cut from that same cloth. Like, so why not use him, right?
Yeah. And we saw a bit of that. We saw a bit of that.
Brock Purdy's shaping up to be the same.
I completely agree. I was just gonna say we saw a bit of Christian McCaffrey's kind of like in that NFC Championship game when the 49ers were down. We've seen that in Debo, just the kind of like one track, 1,000% at all times mindset. I mean, and especially people don't think, and I know it goes for both teams, but Debo is like dealing with an injury right now, and you would never know when you look at these guys. They're not leaving anything on the field. It's so hard because I think my mindset throughout the playoffs, whenever I was thinking like choosing which AFC team I thought would win, I chose the Ravens. I chose the Chiefs over the Ravens, even though I thought the Ravens were a better team. Yeah. Even though I thought, like, I made the caveat, like I was like, I think the Ravens are the better, like more balanced team, but I don't know, like, I don't feel like it's smart to bet against Patrick Mahomes. It was kind of like when the 49ers were like on their winning streak and they were only scoring 30. And up until they stopped doing that, there was like 4 games in where you were just like, how am I gonna sit here with my conscience and say that I don't think that they can do that when all they've shown us is how much they can show up. This was a down year for the Chiefs. But I will say, I'm part of it being a down year was dropped balls by Mahomes' receivers. They've been catching the ball. The run game has been working way more efficiently for the Chiefs. Travis Kelce, who by all accounts was having a very down year, I think the debate who's better, Travis Kelce or George Kittle. I think as a Niner fan, we really appreciate George Kittle, and we know that he doesn't have the same opportunities for maybe certain offensive production as Kelce does. But I think it's pretty fair to say that Kelce throughout his career might have the edge. But this year it was not that way. I felt like in a non-biased, non-49ers fan, George Kittle by far was having the better year. Well, the playoffs have started. Travis Kelce looks like the step that he kind of lost, looking a little bit old or run down. He's back 100%. And to me, the things that makes the Chiefs scary is they do, and it's kind of opposite of the last time the 49ers and the Chiefs matched up, right? The Chiefs have a really dominant defense, and because I think when you think of the Chiefs, you think of their offense because you think of Mahomes, you think of Kelce, but really they're carried by their defense. The reason they're here is, and it's obviously in unison, but I would say their more dominant side of the ball is the defense. So for me, it's hard to bet against the Chiefs because how do you have, a top 3-5 defense and Patrick Mahomes and then think that the other team's going to win? So I've never been in these playoffs so far. I have never picked against the Chiefs. So it's hard for me to have so much confidence in the 49ers because it's like going against everything that I've said up until this point, where I just gave Mahomes the edge just because he's Mahomes. But I like what you said, maybe the Chiefs team is different, but also the 49ers team is different. When they were coming in this in 2019, they were a defensive led team. Their offense was good, but Deebo Samuel was young. Jimmy Garoppolo, a lot of people didn't have a ton of faith in him. Kind of seems like the coach didn't have a lot of faith in him. So I definitely have a lot more, I think, confidence in this. At my friends, I will try to. Hopefully, it'll get better. I'm using. Maybe I'll use my hotspot and see if that helps. But I don't know if that came through to you guys. Is it doing okay? No.
I can hear you a little bit better now.
Okay. Sorry about that. That's all right. I'll try to figure that out. But hopefully, unless it gets bad, hopefully we can finish this out. I was just basically saying that I think this 49ers team with Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy being, in my opinion, a much more reliable quarterback that is someone who not only you trust to run your system, but to make some splash plays. Because I do think to win against the Chiefs, I think, right, everything has been if Brock Purdy just manages the game, the 49ers will win. I don't think that about the Chiefs. I think Brock Purdy will have to make some sort of incredible throw or escape ability or escape the pocket, whatever. And I think he has the ability to do that. So that does give me confidence in this 49ers team to actually compete with them and stick around and maybe even win. More so than maybe I had going into 2019, even though I think the 2019 defense was more dominant.
He's one of your difference makers, and you have to put the ball in your difference makers' hands, especially in games like these when the chips are down or when you need something to go. He's going to be one of those guys because he's going to put in 120% on every single time he touches the ball, right? So that's someone that I want handling the ball. Deebo Samuel as well. Brock Purdy, those are the key guys that I think really do step up in those big moments. So I would expect some, big games from those guys.
I would too. Now, do you? I've read a stat. I think it's 24 points the Chiefs offense haven't allowed, or the Chiefs defense haven't allowed. If they keep the other team within 20 under 24 points, the Chiefs win. Do you think that this offense has the ability to kind of score and win, maybe not a shootout, but a higher scoring game?
Yeah, I mean, if they stick with what works, like holding the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson to just 10 points in the AFC Championship, that's huge, right? Like that speaks to how good the Chiefs defense is. And in that game, like the one criticism I would give the Ravens or just like Lamar Jackson is I kind of felt like they just kept going for the big play, and it was a 7-point game, and it was the third quarter, and there was still a chance for them to kind of get a drive. Like they really just needed to get a drive going. I think the only one they really did, they botched at the goal line. But even then, that was kind of later in the game. I just felt like they needed to chip away. And so I think the 49ers, has the offense to be able to put up points against this Chiefs team, but they have to stick with what works for them, and they have to be comfortable with chipping away. And you're not going to boil the ocean, on one play. You're not going to beat the Chiefs on one play. You don't have to necessarily. Like, just do what works for you and don't turn the ball over. That's it, because that's really, those two things is kind of what I think hurt the Ravens in the end. So excuse me, hopefully the 49ers look at that and kind of learn from that a little bit. And another thing, like, I mean, you can't leave Patrick Mahomes in a 7-8 point lead. You can't leave him any time to tie
a 10-point deficit,
win the game. Even that, I mean, yeah, I mean, you always have to be on your toes. I think they did learn a lot from the first Super Bowl. But yeah, you can't be up late in the game and just assume that you're good and you're going to be able to save it. Like, you have to continue putting points up on the board if you can.
I agree. And I do think, like, and obviously this is what every team would want to do, but I think the best strategy for the 49ers to win is to kind of get up in the first quarter and the second quarter. Like, they're going to need to play all 4 quarters, but if they can really make a presence, get even, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns would be incredible. But 1 touchdown and a field goal, if they can get up and really score on that first drive, make their presence known, and then they can like have confidence in the ability to kind of stick with the run. Because I think that that's going to be a big impact for this 49ers team and for their ability to kind of negate some of that defensive pressure that Brock Purdy definitely is going to be under with Colton McKivitz on that offensive line, just that offensive line in general kind of struggling. I'm not sure if it's going to be a huge Aiyuk game. I have a lot of respect for the corners on the Chiefs. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for their defense overall. So I think, like, I'm anticipating, and this is, just guessing, a really big, if you had to, people always say, like, who would you gamble on for NFL MVP if it wasn't a quarterback? Because normally it's going to go to the quarterback of whatever team it wins or that wins. But if it wasn't a quarterback, I would say my bets would be on a Christian McCaffrey or a Deebo Samuel, 2 guys who have been known to take over games, who you can easily see scoring multiple touchdowns, either one of them. And it seems like their style of play is what's going to fit best against this defense compared to kind of a longer attack. I think it's going to be a lot of getting down the field, kind of slowly trying to not make execution errors. I love that you highlighted don't turn the ball over. I kind of highlighted before that not only do I think that Brock Purdy needs to play a clean game, but I am anticipating he's going to have to kind of step into his next gear, which we've seen him do. So I have confidence that he can do that, which is a difference from 2019, right? Like in 2019, you're like, please, Jimmy, just like kind of don't mess it up. Where with how much I respect the Chiefs, I do think you have to have another level. But I also respect the 49ers, and I think we've seen them show that other level. But I don't think they can go into the Super Bowl playing their second best game and anticipate a win. You know what I mean? We've seen them do that. We've seen them kind of not play their best and still be able to pull it out because this is such a talented team. I think best of the best on both sides of the not both sides of football, but both teams are the best of the best. I think the 49ers are really going to have to come out. But I do have confidence in their ability to do that. Even with Kyle Shanahan, maybe I can ask you um, if your belief in Kyle Shanahan has altered over the years or altered over the season. I know there was a lot of questions on Kyle Shanahan's growth with his trust in Brock Purdy that you've seen. By the way, did you see, just as a side note, did you see that viral clip going around of Kyle Shanahan showing up to Vegas and he had his backwards hat on? He was like friggin' turning up. We got to get that man a Super Bowl just so we can friggin' see him in the parade in San Francisco.
He's got to get a Super Bowl. But my confidence level is pretty much remained the same with Kyle. If anything, I think I've grown more confident in Kyle just because now he has a quarterback that he has confidence in. And I think we've seen how that has kind of, helped this offense take that next step. And Kyle in moments can feel comfortable being aggressive with this offense, right? And, I thought it was kind of interesting that one of the things Kyle Shanahan mentioned when he spoke with the media last week was just that, like, he understands the importance of like every possession basically when you're playing against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in the game of this magnitude. You pretty much have to try to get points every time. And so I kind of wonder if at some point that's going to mean, maybe not kicking the field goal in favor of going for it if you're in that range, and having the trust in your offense to be able to, get those conversions, right? I mean, who right now, who do you trust more to convert or do something on a fourth down in opponent territory? Like, are you trusting Jake Moody to hit a 40-something yard field goal, or are you trusting the 49ers offense to convert a, say, 3rd and 8 in on the 40-yard line or 50-yard line or what have you?
I think you're so right about that. I do wonder. I wonder Kyle Shanahan has and his conservativeness, you would say, maybe helped him in the Lions game, but you're right. There's going to be a delicate balance within this Chiefs game where when you're going against such an offense that can score, in 13 seconds, we've all seen the Josh Allen game. You do kind of have to make sure you're going to set yourself up for success and for the opportunity to not only get ahead but stay ahead and keep the lead, which I think the 49ers could do. Even against the Ravens, the Chiefs didn't score in that second half, so like they have the ability to be exposed. Like they do it in different ways, but they have some Niners to them where they seem to play really well for like 2 quarters, but then and they've done that in a lot of their games. And it's kind of interesting the way that turned out, that both of those teams ended up making it to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And I think it's just because both of those teams have such prolific coaches and talent on their team. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not reading them all, but just everyone in the comments be nice to each other. We're all fans. I don't know. I haven't been super paying attention, but every once in a while I'll look over and it feels like people are fighting.
It's getting rowdy, and
we're all fans of the 49ers and we're in the freaking Super Bowl, guys. I think they might literally just be talking about if you had to bet on Jake Moody making the game winner, what are you going to do, Steph?
I think in a game like this, I have to put some trust in my offense because, look, I think Jake Moody has shown you that you can't always trust that either. So, like, if you have doubts about being able to convert a 3rd and 8, in enemy territory, then you're probably feeling just as confident or not as confident in Jake Moody right now, right? So, and Jake Moody,
I like that. Like, it's not a guaranteed. Like, people kind of always, when they talk about going for it on 4th down, people talk about it as like you're leaving points on the field, and it's like, well, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get those points right now.
Exactly, and that's just 3 points, right? If you're going to gamble, like, you might as well, and both are a gamble, right? You might as well gamble for the one that's going to get you a little more points, right? So, yeah, as my brother says in the comments, let's hope this game doesn't come down to a Moody field goal. I mean, it can't. Like, I just we can't have that happen. We we just
No. Yep. See,
yeah.
Israel said the same thing.
Yeah.
Hope it doesn't come
I
down to a
mean,
kicker. Now you're giving everyone in the
no
comments
one
heart
wants to
attacks.
see that. No
They're
one
all
wants
gonna
to
have
see
bad
that.
dreams. They're all gonna have bad dreams about this. Mr. Cool says, I'm a Commanders fan, but I'm also a Steph and Ashley fan. Thank you for, I mean, everyone's welcome here. I always like, what's his name? He does like the little, not little, they're like really cool, but he parodies all the NFL teams. Tom Grossi, and he always goes like,
Tom.
welcome to the podcast. Like, you can be
I
a Packers fan, sure does help, but you don't have to be. And that's how I feel about the 49ers. I think slowly we're going to convert Mr. Cool. I think just the more you listen to us, the more you're going to want to be. If you've been watching us all year round and the 49ers end up winning the Super Bowl, you got to be a fan.
I mean, the 49ers are in the Super Bowl.
Were you one of the people that said you're going to get a ladybug tattoo?
Yeah, I will.
Steph is going to get a ladybug tattoo at the 49ers. I saw can you tell everyone you went to the bathroom and saw a ladybug?
Starting that story with
right?
You went to the bathroom.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
really riveting content here.
It was like so I was at the Senior Bowl, right? And I went to this place to eat. It was really good. You know, I had a conversation with the waitress. She was really nice, super sweet. And she's like, you know, you should come back. And I'm like, you know, I'm here till Thursday, so I'm going to see if I can come back. Thursday, I do go again right before I have to drive to the airport. It's like a 2-hour drive. So after I eat, I'm like, I should probably use the restroom. So I go to the restroom. I'm just in there. I see they have a bunch of like graffiti on the wall and, you know, art and whatnot. And as I'm like kind of looking around at it, I see like a ladybug, you know, graffitied, you know, onto the mural or whatever, you know, it was there in the corner. And I'm like, what the heck? I was like,
and was that on like a Monday? That was on a Monday?
That was on Thursday. That happened. So I was like, wow, like what are the chances? Like we're all just seeing like ladybugs everywhere. I feel like it's symbolic. So I'm like, man, if the 49ers
it did feel like that game
symbolic, right?
It feels a little symbolic. This year does feel a little bit like fate. Like the 49ers have to win it. Come on, the Chiefs they're fine. They're doing good. They don't need another one right now. Kyle Shanahan, I was explaining to my friend kind of the lore of him and how impressive I think he is. And I was like, he just needs a freaking Super Bowl to really solidify himself in the minds of, you know, I think a lot of people do give him credit, but what that gives coaches is just a whole new level of respect, of time. I think then they try to run it back. Like, obviously not trying to think of it like that, but I'm really excited. Now, Steph is going to be in Vegas. I'm going to try to go to Vegas too. Hopefully run into you, Steph, and maybe get you a drink. And when are you planning on going? Are you planning on being able to talk to anyone while you're there besides me, which obviously is the most important?
Yeah.
Are you going to be like Tiberius Ward? Are you going to turn up? Did you hear his comments?
I mean, I'm not playing a game on Sunday, so I'm definitely turning up. Yeah, I mean, I fly in Friday morning. I got a guest pass for Radio Row, so I'll probably just walk around there and see if I can like talk to anybody or get a little quick interview or something. And then yeah, just kind of winging it. Like I haven't set any plans yet for anything, so I'm actually a little worried because I'm like, oh my god, like if I need to get tickets for like a watch party, I have no idea. Like I haven't looked into it at all, so I should probably get on that. But yeah, I'm down to, you know, meet any other 49ers faithful. So if you see me, say what's up. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hope I see you guys out there.
Heck yeah. Definitely like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to Steph's YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Definitely feel free to shoot me a message if you're going to be in Vegas, because if I do go, I want to be able to run into people. I won't be there for the media stuff, but I think just being in the environment, seeing everyone, seeing how happy everyone, it just seems like something that it's so interesting, right? Like I feel like if they win, it's something you don't want to miss. But if they lose, that kind of sucks to like be all the way there, and you're
It's
like,
the risk you
damn,
take.
damn.
Yeah, it's the risk you take.
But Steph, is the next time? Well, maybe if we see each other, we'll do something spontaneous. I'll take out my phone and make you do something with me. But if not, which we will see each other,
next week for our scheduled time.
Well, what I was gonna say is that will be after the Super Bowl,
right? But regardless of what happens, we're gonna talk about it.
We are, but that's freaking how crazy!
Like we're gonna talk about a win, right?
We're gonna talk about a freaking win, dude. We're gonna talk about a win, but how crazy! I mean, it's been it's crazy that like we're here. You know what I mean? We're at that point that the next time we're talking, the Super Bowl is over, and that the 49ers are freaking in the Super Bowl. I think people aren't talking about that enough. Like people need to be more excited. I was with Jed York. He was like, there needs to be more time to celebrate. I was like, I agree. Maybe you shouldn't have that attitude as the owner of the team. I'm a fan, but whatever.
He can celebrate.
Exactly. Everyone seemed like Kyle Shanahan was last night. Everyone, make sure to like and subscribe to Steph's YouTube channel, to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna be back tomorrow with Jose, who is also in Vegas. So that's another person we can see. Really excited to be talking with all of you guys. So happy the 49ers are in the Super Bowl, hoping for a win. But yeah, more content coming to you soon. See you guys then. Make sure to subscribe because I'm almost to 2,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much, and thank you to Steph for helping me out all season long.
Peace.
Yeah, bye guys. Boop boop.